Hi, and welcome back to the fifth and final part of this project. Let's just wrap this up. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. Let's just get into it. All right, so we have no more instructions in this chapter from the book. We just need to head into the IDE in the commands module and just write the logic using the library functions we have in order to be able to work with PNG files. Let's jump in. Okay, so first let's write a helper function that will read the contents of a file and give us a byte vector. Say get bytes from path. This is going to be the input, and path is a stir reference. This will return a vec of bytes. Okay, let's declare a file, which is file open. We can just give it the path. Expect cannot open file maybe. We're gonna need a buffer to read this. Say buffer. Oh, it's gonna be mutable as well. This is just gonna be the new vector, vec new, and let's say file read to end. Can give it the buffer and expect, let's just say unable to read into buffer. And let's just return the buffer. And let's see, we have an error. Okay, it's expecting a mutable reference to buffer. All right then, this looks good. Okay then, let me maximize this. And let's start with the first command, which would be print. And print is supposed to list the chunk types, or the chunks that can be decoded, so the chunks that can hold a message. Just starting off, we're going to display all the chunks in the PNG file. So let's say we're going to make this public because we're going to access it from main. Just print. And this is just going to take a path again. Reference the stir. And I think I'm just gonna print out the result. So let's get the buffer of bytes. We can use the helper function above. Path. Okay. And now let's create a PNG file from the buffer. PNG, and we have the PNG struct. And I think we can use try from. And I think we just need to turn the buffer into a slice. Oh, this is a result. Let me unwrap it. Okay, so we have the buffer. Now we need to get the chunk types from the buffer. So let's say let chunk types equals PNG. I think I should have a chunks function. It's not public yet, probably. Let's search chunks. I think it's just... Let me search for FN chunks. Making this public. Let's go back to commands. Chunks. And I think we can iterate through this. And let's just turn each chunk into a string. And for each chunk, we get the chunk type and just turn it to a string. And let's just collect this. But we need to declare the type in which we're collecting. And this should just be a vec of strings. That should be good. All right. And now let's just print the final message. Okay. The following chunks can be decoded. Let's say for chunk in chunk types. And we're just going to print it. That should be good. Good. Let's go to main and just call the print. And yeah, I can just say print path. Okay, now let's try to run this. Okay, let's open the console. Let's just compile it or check it first. Looks good. Let's say cargo run, print, and I have a sample PNG file in my local folder, in my home folder, pictures, sample.png. Okay. Oh, and that looks good. We have all the chunk types here. And yeah, as you can see, we have a Rust chunk type because I've been playing with it before, but normally this shouldn't be here. Okay. As you can see, this is the starting chunk type. This is always the starting chunk type. And this is the end, which is always the end chunk type. All right then, looking good. Okay, let me close this. So we have print going. Let's go back to commands and do the next one, which I think should be decode. Yes, okay, let's try decode because we already have some hidden data in the PNG sample from a previous attempt at this exercise. Let me maximize this. Let's just say decode, which takes a path, a string reference, and a chunk type, also a string reference. All right then. So let's try the following. I think we can just copy these because we still need to open the PNG file. And we need to extract the desired chunk. Should be PNG I think I need to make more functions public. Going back to PNG. Oh, and this is exactly the one we want, chunk by type. We're retrieving a particular chunk by its chunk type code. Let's go back to commands. Chunk by type. I think we can just give it, the chunk type. Okay, expect, let's say, unable to locate chunk type. In case this doesn't work. And okay, we just need to print this. Let's say hidden message is, this will be the message. Yeah, we can turn the whole data in the chunk as a string. Let's just unwrap this. This should be all right. Let's go back to main and use this new function. So this should be decode, path, and chunk type. Okay, let's try to run it again. And in this case, so we have to give the path and the chunk type we want to decode, which is this special one. Oh, I left it to print. I need to change it to decode. That should be good. Okay. It decoded a message. That's good. All right. Let's try now the remove command so that we can remove the hidden message we have and add a new one. Let's maximize again, and let's say, okay, remove, and remove again takes the path and the chunk type, and that's it. We're just loading the PNG file again. And I think we should have a remove chunk method created in the previous chapter. Let's go to the PNG type. And yeah, remove chunk. Let's make this public. We're going to need a pen chunk as well. Can also make that public. I think that's it for now. Yeah, we can go back to commands. And let's see. Remove chunk. We just need to give it a chunk type. Expect unable to remove chunk. Oh, I think, yeah, we need to make it mutable. That's good. Okay, and now we removed it. We removed the chunk, but we only removed it in memory. Now we're going to have to write this back to the file. Let's just create a path. Let's say write path equals standard. Was it path? Yes. Path new, and it's going to be the path from the arguments. And I think we can just use fswrite. Okay. And I think this takes the path. And I think the PNG has bytes. Can we do... I think we need to make this public as well. I should have seen this. Okay. Going back to the PNG. Okay, as bytes. Public. Let's go back to commands. Let's just unwrap this. Okay, let's just unable to write to file. Okay, I think we can just tell the user that it worked. Let's say chunk removed. I think that should be enough. Now we can go back and try to plug this into main. And we handle the remove. Let's just say remove path and chunk type. Again, these are coming from the arguments from the subcommands enum. And I think we can go back to test it. Let's say remove. I think that should be enough. It removed it. Now let's print to see if it actually worked. And I think we need to delete the chunk type. As you can see, the Rust chunk type is now gone. We just have the normal chunk types in the PNG available. Great. Let's go back. And now we just need to handle encode. But the logic for this is going to be a bit special. Let me bring up the terminal again. As you can see, these are all the chunk types. And traditionally, a PNG has to end with this end chunk type. You can append stuff after it, but that might cause problems in certain programs, because normally the PNG standard is not forced to accept anything after end. A lot of programs will work when opening the file, but to not cause issues, we're going to try to insert our chunk type before the end, so we won't append just at the end of the collection. We're going to try to append it before this chunk type, right before the end. All right, let's get the function ready. Okay. Oh no, it's not going to be called append, it's going to be called encode, which is going to take a path, chunk type, and the message. All right then, let's just again, we're going to open the PNG. So we're going to just remove the end tag, and we're going to store it in a variable. And then we're going to insert our message as a chunk type. And then we're going to insert the end after it. So let's just say it's just gonna call it end, it'll be PNG remove chunk, and we need to give it a type, which would be the chunk type. All right, and let's just expect this. Again, unable to remove end chunk. Let's say it like this. Okay, and now we just need to append okay. Let's say PNG, append chunk, and now we need a chunk from, let's say chunk. Okay. Try from. Can we use try from? I think it's just gonna be new, and we have to give it a chunk type. It's just and chunk type from string, and no, this is still good. A chunk type from string, and oh no, we still need to unwrap this. All right, let's just import this. And we also need the message. Let's turn this, I think we need a slice of bytes. Okay. That should be good. And now I think we just need to append the end chunk. All right. And I think we can just do this. What we did before to write to the file. And this should be good. Let's just say message encoded. All right, let's go to main, plug this in, and hopefully it works. Okay, encode, path, chunk type, and message. Let's give it a run. Okay. I'm going to encode. And I think we need to give it the chunk type. Let's just give it like this. This needs to be a capital letter. And let's say my secret message. Oh, it panicked. Let's have a look at this. So it was unable to remove the end chunk. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is a mistake. We're giving it the chunk type we want we want to encode. This should just be end. I think that should work. Let's try it again. Okay, it encoded the message. Now let's try to print the chunk types. As you can see, it has a rust at the end. Okay, let's try to decode this. And we need to give it the chunk type. Okay, my secret message. Let's just print. Let me try to show you with a different tag. You're just gonna get a bunch of gibberish or an error. I'm gonna try the first text tag. Okay. Oh, and we have comment created with GIMP because this is in the metadata of the PNG file that I downloaded for this. Alright then, I want to remove this, but first let me show you. Let's just open the PNG file to see that it still works. After we added this chunk to it, it's still seen as a valid PNG file. So this is the folder that I was using, sample PNG. Works just fine. Now let's try to remove it. Now let me just change this. Let's print. As you can see, the chunk is gone. Now let's try to just encode with a different chunk type. Let's just say dust instead of rust. And say new secret message. Let's just print. Again, you see the dust chunk type. Again, we can try to decode it. As you can see, new secret message. And let's just remove this. It was removed. Let's try printing again. We no longer have the chunk type. If we open the PNG file again, still works. And that's about it, I think. If you want to experiment more with this, there are some improvements that can be made. Because right now we display all the chunk types. Maybe you could try adding logic to exclude the standard chunk types. So you only see those of interest that you might want to decode. There's also the issue when we get a target chunk. So this was in, let's say in PNG. When we get chunk by type, we just get the first one. There might be an issue when we have duplicates. Maybe you could try some error handling for that, or you could just stick to picking the first one. Yeah, there's a lot of improvements that you could make. So yeah, try to play around with it. Well, I hope this has been fun and interesting, and I'll see you in upcoming videos. Take care.